sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand
Welcome everybody, and hello. This is Andrew Davis.
Be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and
Marketing. Now, some of you guys are brand new. Welcome to the call. The high performance calls, we balance things out. Some days it's content and marketing and business development and other things like that. And some days it is, self-development and personal growth and helping yourself become better. So I try and keep things balanced. We come in different topics, different days. Today I wanted to get into a little bit marketing. Now, real quick, Thursday. So on the 12th, Blake Newbar is going to be joining us. He'll be on. We'll do some Q&A. I've got questions for him. We'll talk marketing. We'll talk business. We'll talk life, kind of what he's got planned, what he thinks is going on, other things like that. So plan on being here on Thursday for that call with Blake. If you've got questions, please bring them. That said, I say this every single time. Guys, a lot of the really basic questions that people ask, you can find answers to in the dashboard or inside of Facebook. You've got an opportunity to sit and talk with a dude who has done tens of millions of dollars over the last few years. He is crushing. He's done it for himself. He's helped build out funnels and businesses for other people. He's got a lot of different things that he's been able to do. Bring questions that are going to help you move forward. So a question like, hey, my SendGrid account didn't connect really well. I'm having an issue there. That's a support question. Right? That's something you can type support, and the team of support people that Blake has that he's hired to deal with that stuff, that he pays a little bit to deal with that every single day. That's a question for them. In any situation, you have an opportunity to be on the phone with a guy like Blake or others in that scenario. Pick their brain on something that can move you forward on a deeper personal entrepreneur business relationship. I mean, it can be marketing, it can be, but look deeper than just, should I use a personal or a business page for my Facebook? Because we have answered that question every single time Darren comes on, every single time Blake comes on. I've answered it a dozen times. Blake's got training inside the dashboard. Just think a little deeper is the point I'm trying to make. And I know most of you guys get that and you're okay with it, but he will be here Thursday. So that should be a fun conversation. So plan on that. And it'll probably, for some of you guys that are newer, that call will probably go a little bit longer. We typically go 45 minutes to an hour. Blake gets excited and we just kind of run with it, and it's always a good conversation. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about your audience. Now, I know some of you guys haven't decided on who your audience is yet. You haven't selected a niche. You've still got to decide, am I going to go after real estate agents or doctors or a massage therapist or an online marketer? Or am I going after women entrepreneurs, minority entrepreneurs, Christian entrepreneurs? Am I going to do a plumber? Do I want to do photographers? There's thousands of different things. So for the sake of this exercise that we're going to do today, if you have selected your niche, great. We're going to talk a little bit about it. If you haven't, pick something you're familiar with. Pick something you know. Okay. Maybe it's what do you do? Are you an electrician? Great. Let's do that. Are you an office manager at a dentist's office? Great. Let's talk about dentists. Pick something. Okay. Don't make it complicated. You don't have to pick 4 things. It doesn't have if you go, well, all I've ever been is employee, I can't think of anything. What did your mom and dad do for work? Pick something, right? Okay, good. Now I've kind of told this story before. So I grew up, I did carpet cleaning and restoration, right? Soon after I got married, I was doing, this is years ago with my ex, so 2001. I got married in 2001. End of August 2001. 9/11 happened a couple of weeks after I got married. I remember at the time I was working in pest control. And I remember being out on a truck at a client's home. And this is before smartphones, and we were listening to the radio, and I was out working, and I came back to the main truck, and the guy that I was working with just had this look on his face when everything happened. Anyway, I worked in that job for months. Sometime in the beginning of the year, my now ex-father-in-law, but talked with my wife, talked with him, and they wanted me to come work for him doing carpet cleaning. And so I started carpet cleaning. I was like, hey, I'll do this for a little while. I'll help him out. It'll be good to help him out while I figure out what I want to do. I was 22 at the time, freshly married. Sure, I'll help out family. Now, little did I know that it would be, 12 years later, 14 years later before I really ever did anything else. I'll do this for a few months to figure out what I wanted to do kept me in that arena for a lot longer. Anybody have something similar like that? You got into an industry to feel it out and see how it went, to look up a decade later and go, what the hell happened? How did I get here? Now, I was good at it. I got certifications, all these different things, but it was during that time that I learned to enjoy business and marketing. And that's when I was introduced to Joe Polish and Piranha Marketing and Dean Jackson and Dan Sullivan and Bill Glazer and Dan Kennedy. And I started kind of diving into this world of marketing and personal development. And now looking back, I realized that some of it was just a desperate cry by my brain saying, damn it, Andrew, you're capable of a hell of a lot more than just moving this one back and forth, for crying out loud. But it was during that time that I learned a bit about marketing. Now, over time, I started to transform the business because I was working first as an employee with my father-in-law, and then finally we became partners. And I started to transform who we worked with as clients, who we accepted as clients. Notice what I said, we weren't just desperate for anybody, right? Who we accepted as clients, who we wanted to work with, and what kind of services we were providing. We introduced, how many of you guys ever had your carpets cleaned by a professional coming in with a machine? Okay. Now, back in the day, there used to be a way that they would do this that it was totally shady, and I never agreed to do it. We never did it, but a lot of guys would come in and, hey, let me test and show you what this looks like, right? And they would walk into the middle of the floor and they would clean an area and leave this square in the middle of your hallway or in the middle of your family room of clean carpet. And then it's dirty all the way around it. And you're going, well, damn it, now I've got to do the whole thing, right? Oh, they would do that all the time. Catalina's got this look like, how dare they? Yeah, there were people that would do that. So we didn't do that. I would offer one full room. I would clean one full room for free, right? Whether you use me or not, I would clean a full room for free, up to about 100 to 120 square foot. Like, I'm not going to come in and clean your connected dining room and family room, right? Like, we're not playing that game. But I'll come in, I'll clean a room, show you what we do. If you like it, great, then we'll do it. Now, this was one of the things we did because it would provide value, right? I would do it all the time for, maybe some people in the community that couldn't necessarily afford our regular services, but if they were referred by someone, we'd go out, we'd clean a room, sometimes a little bit more for them, and just say, thanks for letting us come by. We would do that. But we started offering, my father-in-law would do per room, per area is how he would charge, $20 an area. So if you had a room like this, would be one room, $20. Bedroom over there, $20. Bedroom over there, $20, right? Hallway, $20. Extra long hallway, maybe 30, maybe 40. Family room, 2 areas, $40. That's how he would charge everything. And he was just convinced that's all people would pay. Well, I said, we're leaving not just a lot of money on the table, we're not actually making much money doing this, right? He wasn't looking at costs and everything else. As a business, he wasn't looking at it the right way. I said, we need to raise our prices. We need to do things differently. We can provide more service. I said, why don't we add things to it? We'll do extra. We'll add in, protection. We'll make sure that, we're going to vacuum beforehand. We're going to scrub the carpet beforehand. We'll do the pre-treat. We'll do this. We'll do the odor, the deodorizer, and not charge extra for it. It'll be part of our package. Like, we worked out this whole thing. So we had like a silver, a gold, and a platinum package, right? Each one of them was more expensive than what we had been doing before, but we were providing the service. We had 100% money back guarantee. If you weren't happy, we would come back and clean for free. If you still weren't happy, you didn't pay, right? So we were doing everything we could. Like, I would, for that platinum package, like, I'm going around on the baseboards. I'm wiping your baseboards off. I'm cleaning, vents. Like, we're doing everything because it was expensive and we're charging for it. But heck, if I'm going to be in your home for this long, we're going to take care of you, you're going to take care of us, everybody's going to be happy. Well, that required us to change our customers. It also required us to understand who our customers were, right? The people that very first thing that they ask on the phone is, how much is it going to be? I've called 10 different places. I'm looking for the best deal. My first response to those people was, you should probably keep calling. We won't be that best deal. Well, don't you want my business? Not if all you're looking for is price. That's not me, right? I understood who my market was, and I started to understand who my audience was. They wanted to pay for value. They wanted quality, right? They wanted to get value for their dollar, but they were willing to pay a little bit more as long as they got that. I started to understand like what kind of car they drove, right? Typically they're going to do, it's going to be a Cadillac. It's going to be a Lexus. It's going to be, you know, maybe the BMW or the Mercedes. Like that was the market that we were looking for. Cause I'd much rather go to one home and clean it and spend all day there doing all these different things than having to clean 6 homes and travel all over the city for the exact same amount of money, right? So I was okay serving less clients and still making the same amount of money, if not more, because technically we were more profitable. Our costs were starting to go down. Now, this was difficult for my partner, my father-in-law, and that whole family, everybody on that side. It was difficult for them to grasp this, like saying no to customers, right? And I remember not just saying no, but losing business because, hey, that's possibly money we could make. Why don't we just service everybody? How many of you guys have thought about that? I want to service everybody. I want to be able to sell my blueprint to everybody, to every business. Everybody can use this, but you're not understanding your audience. Now, as a cleaner, I would have the equipment at home, right? I'd have my company vehicle parked in the driveway often. And I would end up cleaning my own floors frequently. So, quick show of hands. Those of you that are accountants, how many of you have had a family member ask you to do their taxes? Those of you that are photographers, how many of you have had someone say, hey, you could just take my pictures for us at the event? Forrest just popped in here. How many people have said, hey, I'm going to have a party. Could you maybe, help me out a little bit? You could spin the music while you're there. Oh, you're a dentist. Could you take a look at this? You're a doctor. Could you do this? Hey, I know you're good in HR. Could you look at this resume for me and help me out? And people don't give you value based on that. And sometimes, let's be real, most of you have done it anyway, even though it pissed you off. You still did it. And then when they go, well, how much do you charge for stuff like this normally? You tell them, and their first response is, oh my God, I would never pay that much for it. That's crazy. People pay you that much to do that? Why, yes, they do. Because they're not family. They see my value, right? It's a little bit different. See, I would clean those floors at my house all the time. And when I told my ex-wife, my wife at the time, when I told her how much our cleaning packages were, how much we were charging, we went from this room being a $20 area to a room like this costing $70, right? More than 3 times as much. And I remember telling her, yeah, well, here's our prices now. And her saying, I would never pay that much to get my floors done. I would never pay you that much. So besides the fact that family doesn't value you the way that you should be valued, I looked at her and I simply said, you know what? For me, it was one of the best marketing lessons I've ever learned in my life, because a light bulb went off and I went, you know what? That's great. You aren't my target market. You're not the client that I'm looking for. You're a young mom with a working husband who stays at home, takes care of the kids, cleans up most of the stuff herself, right? Doesn't have the Lexus or the Mercedes in the driveway. Doesn't have enough square footage where I really want to come out and deal with it. You're not my target market. So, ladies and gentlemen, who is your target market? Who are they? Real quick, take a minute, and I want you to start to create some profile. I'm going to throw a profile of who your target market is. Now, remember, you're going after the business owners because we're helping business owners. And then I want to share with you guys an article. I'll post this link into the Skype group, but these are not the droids that you're looking for. And we're going to post this into the Skype group because I want you guys to pay attention to it. But first, who is the business owner? Who is your target market? Number one, you're probably going to want to create a male and a female profile. Now, some categories are extensively male or extensively female, and I get that. So if you're going after, like, look, stereotypes, this is where stereotypes playing, guys, and they're okay because we're identifying a segment of the population that fits into a certain category. Most general contractors are men, right? I mean, that's just the reality. If you're going after hairstylists, for example, most of them are, hairstylists and barbers, I guess, I don't know. But you have some things that are more women, you have some that are more men, you have some that are fairly balanced or balanced enough that you need a profile for both. So real quick, that. Now, age. What is an age gap, window that most of your professionals fall into? Jot it down. Now, if you've already got this written somewhere, I'm going to end up giving you some extra questions to think about at a time, but start there. Sex, age, education. What level of education do they have? Is it college? Is it, advanced degrees? Do they have to have a master's? Do they have to have a doctorate? Or do they need professional education certification? Right? A real estate agent doesn't necessarily need a college degree, but they do need to be licensed. So there are CEUs, there are continuing education units, credits, CEC, CEUs, continuing education that they have to go through. Mortgage, same thing. What type of education and or certification do they need in order to be active in this profession? Next, would they belong to any organizations, any professional organizations? And if they do, what are they? So you may not have the what are they answer right now. Maybe just write yes, and then put a question mark, leave a couple of lines, because you're going to do the research, you're going to find out. Next thing you're going to look at, what is an average income range for people in that profession? Can someone tell me why the average income range may make a difference in who you're marketing to? Without regurgitating the story I just told. Bruce, yeah.
So you can pay for your service.
That's one, sure, that's part of it. But Bruce, go ahead.
It allows, people with large incomes have a far greater disposable income at their disposal to pay for services that other people wouldn't have.
Okay. All of you guys are only answering based off, tells you if you can afford, they have the money. All you're answering is, can they buy my shit? Look, guys, you're selling something at $7 for crying out loud. Everyone can buy your shit. I'm sorry. If they're a business owner, okay, real quick, Craig, real quick. If they're a business owner, let's take the DFY plus out of it, right? Because that's a separate thing. Some of you guys have it, some don't. But look, $7, $37, $197, $241. If they have a business and they can't spend $241, then there's no way in hell you're targeting the right niche anyway. But any single business owner should be able to spend $241 to get what you got, because one client, I don't care what kind of business they're in, one client should be able to pay for that. Lifetime value of a client, I don't know any business where the lifetime value of a client is under $250. Like, that's just no. So that's honestly, guys, that's not the reason. Now, unless you're trying to sell like a $25,000 website on the back end, okay, let's talk about that, right? Different. But all these people can buy your product. And if you're thinking you're targeting them and you're like, oh, they just can't afford it, you're wrong. You don't understand your audience. Craig, go ahead.
Bigger income, probably bigger debts, and more worries about their kids going to university and what they're going to do in retirement, possibly. Sure.
You start to think about that. Look, I want you guys to understand your audience here. So if they earn a certain amount of money, what can I start to figure out? Becky, do you have something? You have a hand up.
Yes, I was thinking their age matters because it can help you choose which, where you put your marketing. Like, are you going to be on TikTok? Are you going to be on Facebook? Are you going to be, whatever new thing is coming out that the kids are into. But you know, you're not going to be selling your high-end products to kids.
In
But
part. Well, I
But
mean,
there
we're
are
going
some.
after, right, your audience, and this is where understanding they are. But that said, TikTok now has a much larger audience that's 35, 45 and up than it did even a few months ago.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to add is there are a few of us older people who are also taking our hand at the newer technology.
Yeah. You're getting into the millions and millions and millions of people that are doing this. So here, guys, if I'm in a profession, I have more income, maybe the car that I drive might be different, the house that I live in, certain area codes, brands that I might be looking at, right? Like Craig mentioned, maybe some of the problems that I'm dealing with in my personal life might be a little bit different. Okay. How you approach them, how you approach your audience is about them and their life and their problems and their business problems, not can you buy my shit? I'm sorry. That's not it, guys. It's not just, you know, how much further in my value ladder can I get them? Look, you add in the DFY Plus, we're still only at $9.97, $14.97. Most of these people have spent more than that in marketing or advertising or something in some way over the last few years. Most of them have. A lot of them are paying thousands of dollars just for their professional organizational dues, right? You have organizations like BNI, which is Business Networking International. That's a weekly networking event that a lot of these business owners go to. And it's not just that. It could be, you know, the Rotary. It could be, you know, any other things around Toastmasters, whatever. Some of those organizations cost, you know, hundreds of dollars a year plus a weekly cost to get in there, right? They're spending thousands of dollars to attend these organizations. They can afford the $1,000 or the $1,500 or the $2,000 that you're charging for the DFY Plus or something simple. Guys, get out of your head that what you have is too expensive, because it's not. Okay? It's not. And for some of you guys to go, oh, well, but they're really, look, if you want to go younger generation, well, then the 20 to 30-year-old crowd is spending more than $250 on a weekend going out and having fun. They do. They spend more than that on a pair of shoes. So if you don't think they don't have or if you think they don't have the money, you're not providing the value to help them understand. You're not connecting with your audience is the problem. That's your problem. It has nothing to do with whether or not they have the funds, right? No matter how much money a company or person makes, they will not matter if they don't trust you. That's why it's important to understand. Exactly. If I can understand who they are, then I can start to break it down. Then I can get to the pain point. Yes, Londa, absolutely. This is the reason I ask you guys these questions. So I'm going to drop some more of these questions in. You know, what are their goals and values? Right? What kind of goals and values do they have for their business and personally? Because your clients are people before they are business owners. What are their goals and values before their business? Now, I know some of you guys, again, you may not have defined your niche yet. Some of you guys came in just after I started the call. Use these questions, pick an industry that you know something about, pick the industry that you're in. What do you do? Map it out. What does the average person look like? A lot of you guys are so focused on, do they have enough to, or they don't have enough to buy my product? You haven't taken any time to get to know who your audience actually is, right? And what's going on. What's a website, an influencer, a magazine? What would they subscribe to? What are they going to be a part of, right? What are some conferences that they might go to? Any of those things. And then, yes, challenges, pain points. What are some of those elements? Okay. What's their work-life balance look like? Some of them, you may not be going after the owner. You may be going after the office manager, depending on your niche, right? Now, all of this came up. I read an article. I'm going to drop this into the Skype group, but there was a study done in the UK. Studied in the UK for people over the age of 55 that are unhappy with how advertising is being shown to them. Okay? US, UK, everybody around the world. How many of you guys are above the age of 55? I got a few of you not raising your hands. I'm looking at you going, yeah, I don't know. So 55, say 45 and up. Think about advertising. How often do you actually see advertising where you're the person that is not only being advertised to, but where you're representing an advertisement? Think about it for a second. Okay. Now in the UK currently, and I'm pulling this off of the studies that they had, in the UK currently, 47% of adults are above the age of 55. 47%. Within the next few years, next decade or so, it's going to be over 60% are in that bracket. That's the people with the money. It's the people that have the, business owners and the like. These are the ones that are spending money. How are they represented in advertising? Most of you guys, unfortunately, are underrepresented. They said something like only although it's 50% of the adult population, it's only like 15% of the people in advertising are actually that age. Everybody's younger. Seems like everything in advertising is like, let's cater to young people. Let's show how cool and hip we are. Let's show how progressive and connected we are to this younger generation. It's like they're bowing there when the money isn't there. The money's in a different location. And when the older population is shown, it's typically like inept, or I need my kids to fix my technology for me, or I can't figure this out, or it's only advertised to when it's some kind of pharmaceutical or some other, do you need help with this with health? Are you looking for a reverse mortgage, life insurance, or blah, blah, blah? Like, that's it. Right? Now, the reason I'm going to share this article with you, it's very, very cool. They're talking about this stuff. But when they started breaking it down, I think this is so amazing. According to the study, 40% of the adult population is over 50, but the income represents 69.7%, 70% of the household economy is represented by the older population. And only 12%, I'm sorry, it wasn't 14. It wasn't even that. 12% of advertisements in England show someone over 50 as the protagonist. 12%. How ridiculous is that? Okay. Now, the cool thing is the way they started to break this down, though, there's this group that's starting to do some wanting to modify how advertising is done. And so while they're talking about it, is like, because we live in an age, how many of you guys remember, the Golden Girls, right? Everybody remembers that show, just about everybody. You realize that everyone except for the mom, I can't remember her name right now. I remember Blanche and Rose, but Sophia. Right?
Sophia.
Thank you, Forrest. So Sophia's the mom. Everybody else was in their 50s. Everybody else was in their 50s. Right? Sex and the City just came out. The new movie, not too long ago. They're all in their 50s. It's the same demographic. All it is changing the hairstyle and makeup, right? And the way that they feel about themselves, the way that they live their lives, it's a totally different thing. I know most of you guys feel much closer to how Samantha and Sex and the City are than Rose and Sophia, right? Maybe not prancing around New York and wearing the exact same designer clothes, but there's life and there's energy there. It's different than it used to be. So instead of simply identifying by that age, even though that is, yes, when I'm sitting down, because in my demographics, if I decide I'm going to run an ad on Facebook, I've got to use the age measurement there, right? I put that in. But if we pull that from our mind as like the deciding factor, if we start to build into it a little bit more, we look at things like the skills, right? We look at attitude. We look at activity. So they talked about different personality traits. They broke it down into several segments, which I think are pretty cool. I'm just going to copy paste this in there. I'm going to give you guys the article so you can see it, but I want you to think about this. So they talk about supportive conformists, security seekers, smart spenders, carefree hedonists, experienced lovers, responsible citizens, and social progressives. Great. The reason that I liked it is because they're not just going, they're older, they're retired. Right? Some people are like, I'm retired. I want to go on an adventure. I'm kind of running my business still. I'm handing it over to the next generation, or I'm selling it or whatever. My point here, guys, a lot of you are going after a demographic that would fit into this
And yes, they are more active on social media than you think. And there's nothing wrong with showing yourself. And instead of trying to create an ad and put this avatar in there of someone younger, because, hey, someone younger that's showing technology, people are going to listen more. That's BS. Like, they want to see, if your demographic falls into the older thing, most of them want to see someone like them achieving it, like figuring this stuff out. Right? I love Anthony Morrison. Blake's awesome. You've got, who did Sam Cart? Brian Moran? No. But all these guys are like in their early 20s, mid 20s. Like, I'm in my 40s. I can't tell you, this idea I get all the time. I get some of you guys are like, oh, but I'm too old. People aren't going to listen, or I'm too old. I don't know if I can learn. Read the room, folks. You guys are crushing. You're not Sophia, you're Samantha. You're security seekers, smart spenders, you're carefree hedonists, you're experienced lovers, you're responsible citizens. But look at your audience like this. In whatever category they're in, whatever age they are, look at them and identify them to connect with you. Right? So that you can connect with them. Get out of your head, I don't know if they've got the money. I would eliminate that off the top, because any business owner can, right? I've got a buddy that, and I don't know if Rick does some of the same thing. Might talk with him about it, but I got a buddy that can get you on TV, right? Get you on Fox, get you on NBC, film a segment, get featured, all that kind of stuff, right? Really cool. People are paying 5, 10, 15, 20K because the value's there. Because if they can get the clients, it's worth it, right? Understand your audience. Are business owners willing to pay money to get themselves more business? And then identify what kind of person they are, and it can be helpful. So I'm going to provide you guys a handful more questions that you can use to identify your audience, even if you guys haven't decided on your niche. Hopefully this is kind of a good exercise to start to get the brainwaves going. Anybody pick up something here to learn anything a little bit, thinking a little bit differently about your audience, hopefully? Okay. You've got more opportunity there than you think. So, all right, let me read through some of these comments. Past weekend, I wrote to everyone in my group, asked each and every person what their goals are. There you go. If you get half of the people that that's amazing, right? But yeah, how valuable is that data? Oh, this is what, look, I got 25 people to answer, and 12 of them said they all want these one or two things. Well, damn, now I know if I'm going to put out content, I'm going to engage these people at least. I'm going to speak directly to them. Message some of the people that you're in the category that you're working with. Saw your piece, James is doing photographers, artists, things like that. Saw this that you posted, loved it. Have you been able to get into any, shows, festivals, art galleries, whatever? No. Hey, where do you want to take your business? Where do you want it to be in the next 12 months, year? Like, what do you see things going? If you get a handful of people answering the same question, do your research, guys. So when I do the strategy session, one of the things I talk about is skills and what skills you think are most important. I had Blake on. I'm going to ask him on Thursday, but one of the things he talked about as the most important skills was listening to your audience. I connect that with research. If you combine those two things and you understand who your audience is and you really do the research in to figure it out, there's nothing you can't do. Yep, catering kids, great approach. Okay, in that, go out, have an awesome day, do some study. I'll drop this article into Skype right now. It's short. I gave you most of it today. Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. What do you need to do tomorrow? How do you stand out? What you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, everybody.